how is Indigenous knowledge of bushfires and fire management being included in the current national response and into policy going forward?
Great question, Catherine. The answer is not very well. So there's been, look, if you go to the Northern Territory, I've done a fair bit of work with bushfires NT up there, and Indigenous owners maintain their cultural burning practices. There's a lot of work being done in New South Wales, Victoria, people like Victor Stevenson, Oliver Costello, Fire Sticks Alliance. Now, they're trying to bring back practices that were almost forgotten, and they're quite different and they're very complex. So they're not simple. You can't just say to a local rural fire service brigade, go out and burn like Indigenous people burn. You need to actually get traditional owners who understand when flowers bloom, when the birds are nesting, when you know the wombats are breeding. So there's certain times of year there's a deep connection to country, and they burn in a different way. It's quite low intensity, but at certain times of the year. So it's very complex. It hasn't been funded. So this needs to be funded by governments so that we can look at protecting assets using that sort of burning. And what they try to do is to replenish country and make it healthy again. And they see some of the burning practices that we do, very intense hazard reductions, trying to get it done in weather conditions when we probably shouldn't burn. They say that damages country. So look, it's part of the conversation, certainly part of what we as emergency leaders for climate action will be pushing the government to do.
And so in that hazard reduction conversation, so I think it's obviously with an issue like that, you know, it could replace some ways of doing hazard reduction and burning, but it wouldn't, in the same way that hazard reduction can't stop these fires, similarly Indigenous burning practices couldn't necessarily stop these fires. Is that the case?
Well, it depends who you talk to. So if you talk to the, you know, traditional owners and people who know how to do this, they're saying, well, if we'd been doing it for 50 years, yeah, would it made so we're starting pretty late and the country's pretty damaged. But if you back us up and let us start doing this, you know, you might be surprised at the results in 10 years, 20 years. And so we've got to have a long-term view. You know, Aboriginals had a long-term view over 60,000 years, and in 200 years we came along and stuffed it. So, so I really think they must be part of the conversation and must be part of the effort to how can we do things differently? Because the way we've done things is not going to
it's not
deal with
to the new
what we're faced with now.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you, Greg.